Hey, welcome to Life in the Leadership Lane. I'm Bruce Waller, your host, where I'm getting to talk to leaders that are making a difference in the workplace and in the community. What do they do to get started, and what are they doing to stay there? And today I'm getting to talk to Mitch Beckman. Mitch is the Chief Human Resource Officer at Weber. He is also a board member for Houston HR. He is a former board member for Texas SHRM. I mean, he is involved. And he is also certified by HRCI as well as SHRM with his SPHR and his SHRM-SCP, which means he knows what's going on in the world of HR. And I want to welcome you to the show, Mitch.
Well, thanks, Bruce. Good to be with you.
Absolutely. So just for those who don't know about Weber, can you just kind of share a little bit about what Weber does and what they do to serve their customers?
Well, Weber is an infrastructure company, and so we build roads, bridges, highways, airports, also water, wastewater. Our job is just to keep the world moving, and so we have about 3,000 employees, a little over 3,000 now. More focused in Texas than anywhere else, though I'm right outside Washington, D.C., working on some things on the Beltway. Up there, we're in Georgia. In Atlanta, helping out with some projects there. So we stay busy. Weber's part of the Throil Group. That's an infrastructure around the world. And so it's great. I love it. It gives me an opportunity to take a few trips into Madrid, Spain every now and then and get to see different parts of the world. But a lot of great men and women here at Weber, just keeping Texas and the rest of the world moving.
I love what you said, keeping the world moving. Of course, I'm in relocation, so that definitely resonated with me. I've met your team as well, and you've got a fantastic team, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I would love to just kind of start, I just want to hear the Mitch story. Tell us the Mitch Beckman story. You know, where did you grow up, and how in the world did you get into HR?
Okay, great story. I was born in St. Augustine, Florida, so I'm a Floridian. Was transplanted in the state of Texas by way of youth ministry. I'm a former student pastor in youth ministry and came here. Grew up. My father, huge impact. I mean, someone says immediately, man, who's your hero in life? My father was my hero. He was a partner with a guy named Jim Rohn. Some of the people listening here may know who Jim Rohn is. And so at 10, 11 years old, my dad and Jim had me get up and do the first presentation in front of a group of people that I ever did. And only in that special Jim Rohn way, when I got through delivering this presentation, 10 years old, Jim says, so if a child can do this, imagine what you can do. And that Jim Rohn fashion. And so it's at that time that being in front of a crowd was birthed in me, and being with people. My dad and Jim both, huge impact in my life, was about bringing out the best in people, in what they had, and really believed in that. And I think that was really instilled from an early age. Went to University of West Florida, played baseball in college and things like that, and graduated with a Bachelor's of Science degree in leisure administration.
Leisure. Okay. Leisure administration.
I got a BS degree. But that's the business side of recreation. If you understand recreation and entertainment, Disney World, those things like that, that's what this degree is for. And so back when I graduated in 78, so you can figure out, there were no jobs in parks and recreation. They were telling me, you're going to go do something else. Maybe you can teach, maybe you can coach, no parks and recreation. And I said, no, this is really what I want to do. It being in my dad's thing, I set out, got a roadmap of Florida, picked out cities I wanted to be, sent my resume to all those cities, and then got in my car and started driving around. I went to every park and recreation director. And by the time I got done, within 2 weeks of making this road trip, I had directors of park and recreation calling others going, hey, you got to meet this guy. If you got anywhere on your staff. And at the end of it, I ended up down in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, of all places, with the pick of a job, had 2 or 3 jobs when they said there wasn't anything. And I just believe, you make what you want happen instead of waiting. I've never been a real passive kind of guy. It's out there. I believe what you have in life is what you go for in life. And so at an early age, so I got started. So how did I get in HR? I already shared with you, I was a student pastor. And when I was getting through with some of the things in ministry, and I was kind of thinking about things that I wanted to do in life. I had a buddy of mine who owned a company, and he said, Mitch, would you come in my company for 30 days? I want you to come in. I want you to look around. I want you to see how we do things. And I want you to tell me what you see when you're done. Well, that was my introduction to organizational development and performance of companies and stuff. And so I met with him and I said, here's what I see. And I don't know why you're doing this. And why is accounting over here? And what's this? And he had another consultant who was working with him. And the consultant was so impressed with what I was doing. Gary got wind that they were going to offer me a job. And before they could get to me, he said, now I want you to come on board with me. I want to begin to make these changes. And by the way, since you're really good with people, I want you to head up HR for me in his company. And I'm sitting there, Gary, I don't have a clue about HR. What do you mean? He goes, no, but you're really good with people. And I realized then when he made that statement that's what, human resource, it's about people in our companies. Weber, infrastructure company. Somebody say you're a big construction company and all that, and I tell people all the time, no, we're in the people business that build construction projects. But make no mistake about it, without people, nothing gets done. You can have AI and you can have all this future work and all this kind of stuff, but I'm going to guarantee you it's going to be the innovation, the thought, the minds of people that are going to bring success for companies. And so that's how I got in HR. I had to become a student of my craft immediately. And so I began reading, I began studying about HR. If you think about it, in student ministry, I had to work with parents and kids, and you had to sell vision, and here's where we're going, and mission, and what you're doing. Man, it got a lot easier when I got in company, because now I still say, share the vision and the mission, but I'll pay you to come on board. There, I was getting volunteers to come on work, but it's counseling, it's coaching, it's working with people. So the skills that I developed as a student pastor are skills that I still employ today in the work that I do.
Man, there is so much here I want to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is making it happen. I heard a long time ago, I think it was Maxwell, that said people make it happen, watch it happen, or they wonder what happened.
Exactly.
And so I love that approach. I got to stop here on this Jim Rome story, because
Right.
I am like a big, big fan. I mean, he's like the master
Yeah.
motivator. And you mentioned earlier, you said you got up and spoke, and then he had that pause. I mean, he knows his craft. What an opportunity to be mentored, first of all, by your father, putting you in that position, but being mentored and being around him. Wow.
Yeah, it was a terrific time. Jim, man, he loved people. And what I love about Jim, a lot of times he would employ Bible stories into his thing, which always was impressive to me. But man, he just had a love for people. And my dad was in that same way. He, really believed in the strengths of people and the giftedness of goal setting. So I learned goal setting, I mean, from the get-go. And it was just a terrific time. I didn't know what I had. I didn't know, when you're a kid, 10 years old, that, hey, it's Jim. We're going to Denny's tonight, and Jim is paying. But it was fun times.
That's a great story. One of the things that I do like to talk about is I like to talk about mentors. And it sounds like you had a couple of pretty good mentors. I was just wondering, do you still continue? I mean, you obviously know the value of that. So, do you have a mentorship program in your company? Do you mentor others? Are you still being mentored? What is that like?
Yeah. So we have a formalized program now at Weber that we're doing, where we have our top level employees are mentoring 2 or 3 people levels down below. So we have these project engineers and folks in here that are really getting and launching their careers and what they're going to do. And we're going to spend time with them. And it's about a 6-month thing. And then we rotate and we're really changing around how we're doing that. We're really excited going into 21, how that's going to work. But mentorship I spoke about my father a lot. I can remember my dad had a purpose statement, and so this kind of set me on my line for leadership. And I love, your great book on the leadership lane. And so Dad kind of set me on that lane, that you so well speak about. And he said, son, you got to find your purpose. I mean, when you understand the purpose and what you think God's doing with you and what you think, based on your gifts and we all, are significant. I learned that, talking about the love that my dad had for people and stuff, that, man, he believed that everybody had incredible significance. And not because of what they did for you, but because of just who they are, and they're gifted. And so my dad taught me, and I wrote out my own purpose statement that says, my purpose is to help people to discover, develop, and deploy their natural and spiritual giftedness. And what is so cool is, now that I'm in a profession in this world of HR that I'm doing, that I get to exercise that gift, that talent, that purpose every day in what I do. And another guy that just hits me is it's significant. Give me one second. This is crazy for your podcast.
Yeah. No.
You may see this up. I can pull this off.
Oh, this is awesome. He's taking, folks, he is taking a frame off a wall right now. I'm excited about this.
Impromptu, real quick. This is Dr. Earl Watson. This was when I was in University of West Florida back in 82, 80, 81, 82. And this is a score sheet. I was given a speech for his class. We had to do presentation. And this is his handwritten notes that he wrote. And he sent this to me. And on it, just, can I share the value of a word, the value of encouragement for people? He wrote things like on here that meant the world to me as a speaker and really began to launch me. Because when your dad tells you things, okay, it's dad. When the professor looks at you and says, hey, very animated, you are an animated speaker, you are very positive, good spraying glances. And so I hear these words. And so what I would say to people who are listening, understand the value and the gift of a handwritten note, the value and the gift to others as you're mentoring of recognizing something, but sharing them. We think that sometimes, we're fearless and I think of this generation now, they're fearless, but yet they need somebody to hit their like button all the time. In this new generation and stuff. And we're like that too. We need that word of encouragement from people. I put that up because it's a reminder all the time. And I want to make sure that when I'm working with young people, or I'm coaching, or I'm developing, they understand I write birthday cards. I've got over 3,000 employees in our company. And I have a handwritten birthday card that I will personally address and write a little note or a sub note or something good. Somebody's here 20 years, thanking them. But every employee, 3,000 employee, will always get a handwritten birthday card.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Because the power of encouragement means the world.
That's huge. That's huge. Oh man, there's so much. First of all, little did you know that your father was preparing you for your career when he had you write your purpose statement to discover, develop, and deploy.
Yeah.
That right there. Oh my God, that is powerful. But I want to stop here. I want to pause on this personal note, because I understand the value of encouragement. I mean, it can lift people up to places they never even dreamed of. And I was reading a story about Frank Blake, and he is a former CEO of Home Depot. He was there for 7 years. And basically Frank Blake wrote over 25,000 personal notes to employees over a 7-year period. That's an average of 100 a week. And basically, he would basically write about 100 over the weekend. And the point of the story is that shows like what you're talking about right now. It's the power of people. It's the power of investing in people.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. And you know, Bruce, the art of the handwritten note is almost lost in this text world that we're living in. So texting and emails and stuff like that. And so when I write a note, I see somebody doing something really good out on a job site I'm visiting, and I'll come back, I'll make a note of it. My dad told me when I was young, he said, son, a thought not captured is a thought lost. And so I always journaled. I learned journaling. Now I just pull up the cell phone and do a verbal note. But I'll write as I see things, and I'll come back and just a handwritten note to somebody who goes, you know, hey, Shelly, saw what you were doing out there. That's amazing work. Keep it up. And you send that. Now, what you do is you send it to their home. Don't send it to the job. You don't just send them an email. You send it home. So when they get it, and I can't tell you how many times I've been hugged by a spouse who said, man, I love that note. Because what happens is here's a Weber note that goes up. And so the spouse is there and they're going, hey, you got this note from Weber. What's this about? And he's like, I don't know. Let's open it up. And you look at it, and there's this word of encouragement or a birthday card or whatever. Not only does that mean something to that employee, but you just esteem that employee in front of their spouse, in front of their children. And you said, hey, dad and mom, you're really important. You're very significant. And so investing, somebody says, man, you spend all that time writing those cards. I can't think of a greater investment in the role that I play. And supervisors that are listening, you ought to be doing that with your team, your staff. Just a word, just to say, hey, man, have I told you how much I value who you are? Just to take a time out of nowhere and send a text to somebody that's on your team or somebody that you've crossed. Man, I think it's, you know, it's fuel in the heart of somebody who's working with you. That's where engagement comes from. If you want engagement in your organization, then you have to be engaged in the lives of the people that work with you, that are on that team.
Man, oh man, that like right now, that was inspiring. I guarantee you there's going to be some people out there that are going to take that message and apply that and totally change the trajectory of their career. I want to just touch real quick on, you know, we talk about finding your lane, finding your purpose. You talked about, you know, writing a purpose statement, but when you went into the organization you're in now,
yeah,
and you said, I don't know anything about HR, but you know about people. So, and you kind of have gone, so now you've been there a while. Was there a time where you said to yourself, you know what, this is it. This is it. I really, really love this, being the CHRO and leading this team.
Yeah, no, I love doing this now. So I've been doing this for 30 years. Just to be sure, it was a different company that my buddy brought me into, but so I've got 30 years of studying and I'm still a student. I'm still reading. I'm every day. Drives my staff crazy. But do I love what I do? Man, I am passionate about what I do because I'm living out my purpose. Every day is a new day. It's man, who knows? We schedule out our calendars and we think we know what we're going to do today, but you know, that can change very quickly. So do I enjoy about my, you know, I think the ability to influence, the ability to develop people, and it's not as a CHRO, oh man, now you've arrived, you're the, you know, hey, I arrived a long time ago, not as a CHRO, but investing in influence. See, a lot of people look and seek power in a company. Man, I don't care about the power. What I want to know is, do I have the ability to influence? And I may influence in a position that's high, but listen, you could be an HR journalist listening to this right now, and you have a career ladder that you want to be a chief people officer in a company one day. If you're going to be powerful there, then or influential there, then you have to be influential now. So what's your circle of influence, and how do you influence people? you see, it's really not about power. It's about influence. And that's, something that I get to do in the C-suite, that I get to do out on our projects with our men and women who are doing amazing things out there. Man, they're in heat. It's 100 degrees out there, and they're out there, PPE on now, and they got shields because of COVID, and every day they show up, and the ability to influence, I think is and why I love it so much.
I can tell. I will tell you, that's a big passion of mine as well. As a matter of fact, we were talking earlier offline about this is the week of the North Texas SHRM Conference, and I was a keynote speaker, and my session was called Level Up and Create More Influence as a Leader in the workplace. Because at the end of the day, influence is leadership, and it's really all about people. It's about building relationships. It's about, all these different things to just create these incredible relationships with people at the end of the day, as far as influence. Well, I want to keep going here, because you, first of all, I'm enjoying this conversation because you are a master storyteller. And I love that about you. And by the way, for those who don't know, on the podcast, Mitch and I actually met a few years ago when he was serving on the Texas SHRM State Council. And that's where I first got to know Mitch. And then I saw that SHRM had put out a video on HR storytellers. And it really caught my attention. Number one, I was like, hey, I know that guy. And number two, I want to hear more about this. And what it was called was adding value as a lifelong learner. And you gave some different points when you mentioned earlier being a student in the craft. That was one of those points. I would love for you to share a little bit about your message in that for the listeners and the viewers.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. It's a message that resonates with me because this has been my guiding principle in these 30 years of becoming an HR profession. Why have I was asked several years ago by a group of students that were going in HR, and they asked me, how did you get where you are? What was your success? And so I laid these three things out. These are three principles that guide what I do. They guide my staff and my team. And I think they're really important to success. And first one is you got to be a student. There's three things: be a student, be a solution, be sustainable.
Okay.
And you say, well, that's just so easy. I mean, yeah, really? Hang on. So be a student. We have to be a student of your craft. And I was talking to those group of students. I said, you think you're getting your certificate? You think you're graduating and you're going to walk across that? You're just now beginning to learn. What you said by graduating and getting that certificate is you have the ability to learn. Now let's go learn. And so you have to be a student of your craft. Charles Haddon Spurgeon said this. He said, the man who will not read will never be read. He who does not quote will never be quoted. He who doesn't use the thoughts of other people's brains proves he has no brain of his own. And so you have to be a reader. I read articles continuously. I read books. And I take the thoughts of people that I agree with. I read. People I don't agree with, I will read. I want to find out why I don't agree with them. Sometimes I find out I do agree with them. It's just a different way of looking at something. And so be a student of your craft, always learning. We're in HR, so there's, COVID. I mean, we're on a pivot right now of changing the way that we do things. And we're experiencing things that no one else has experienced. How do we do that? How do we be resilient through this thing? Well, I read. I want to know what others are going through and what they feel and what they see, and take advantage of what they have. So be a student, be a solution. And what I mean by that is in our HR department, we have a little saying that says, never a quick no, but a slow yes. Never a quick no, but a slow yes. The HR department is so, around the world, if you say, it's the department of no, right? And we don't want to be no. And for sure, you have managers that come with some ridiculous requests. They want to do something. You're just like, putting your hands on your head going, how did that even come out of your mouth?
Mm.
And so you immediately want to say, no, you can't do that. And we say here at our thing is, okay, that's interesting. Tell me what you want from that.
Mm.
Why is that important to you? And so we begin to understand really what the manager, the supervisor is looking for. And we ask a series of questions. What do you want? Why do you want it? Why is that important to you? What will it mean if you could get that to you? And so now we're working on a solution that they haven't taken the time to think through those steps about what they really want on that. And now we're able to deliver on that. We're able to create a solution for them. So no quick no, but a slow yes.
Mm.
And the third thing is be sustainable. And what I mean by that is be renewable. I challenge our department, our staff all the time, internal. We say, listen, if we weren't part of Weber, this HR department, this training development department, this safety department wasn't a part of Weber, would they renew their contract with us every year? You have to be renewable, which means we're delivering value, right? And so that means you have to define what value is internally within your organization. And so that's what I mean by sustainable. So I want to be a student, I want to be a solution, and I want to be sustainable. Those three things, if you're doing that day in and day out, you're going to create incredible value inside your company.
Man, I'm going to tell you, there's so many great takeaways there. The thing that really popped out to me was never a quick no, but a slow yes. I love how you and your team have like reframed how you respond, because it's easy to just say, yeah, no, that's not the way we do it. Here's the policy, and we need, but to reframe it and say, well, tell me what you're thinking, paint that picture for me. That's fantastic. So
and
it's just a different way of looking at that.
And it keeps you from telling the supervisor or somebody comes to you that, I mean, it's a stupid idea, sometimes. And we want to say that sometimes, but we can't. So reframe it for them. Absolutely. And find out what they're really thinking, because maybe our job expressing what it is they really want and why it's important to them. And so if you help them, and the other thing is now you're coaching. When you're asking those questions to a supervisor, you're getting him to think through things, or she's thinking through things, maybe the way that you're doing it. And so it's a very, very powerful thing.
I also love how you challenge your team. Like, if we're not part of the company and we're a contractor, would you hire us?
Yeah.
That's a total, I had never really heard of it that way. Now I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if I'm a contractor for Armstrong Relocation, would they hire me?
Yeah.
Would they renew my contract? That's a fantastic way of looking at, am I adding the value I need to add here?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to. You have to reflect all the time on how can we do this better? How could we do this different? Innovation is changing. We're in this COVID thing like now. Just because we did it this way doesn't mean we're going to continue to do it this way. What are some better ways of doing some things? What are some tools that we can take to do and to deliver? Matter of fact, I was on the phone with one of the presidents of one of our companies, and he was coing something, and I'm sitting there going, man, I don't know it. And before I could get that out, he goes, no, Mitch, not a quick no, but a slow yes. So when the president of one of the companies is quoting back to you the attitude, you can't tell me no, you got to find a slow yes. Operations is involved in there, and things are moving forward.
That's fantastic. Oh man, that's, what, that had to be, honestly, that had to be a proud moment for you, knowing that, we've built something here that we're all like, it's unity, right?
Yeah.
Togetherness. We all believe in the same thing. Now I know why your tagline, I was looking at your LinkedIn tagline, says keynote speaker, pursuing excellence, and a developer of people. Where did that come from?
Wow. I think it's right out of my own purpose statement, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's how I look at it. That's, I get up every morning. That's my thought. How can I make an impact? How can I be an influence today? Because it's the way that you approach things. it's an attitude.
Mm.
You can approach and some people wake up in the morning and they're just like, oh man, not today. And a lot of these guys are peers of mine in HR. They're just sweating what's going to come at them today. And I'm just sharing with my daughter the other day, that you can look at things two ways. You can look at it and just think, negative about it, or you can look at it and you can say, man, what's the opportunity that I'm going to have today to deliver on something that's incredible, that can be challenging. It's not always going to be easy. My son was talking about this COVID thing, and he says, man, I can't wait, 17 years old, friends, you can't run around, do the things they want to do. And he says, I can't wait till we get over this. And I had to look at him and say, son, there's some things in life that we get over, and there's some things that we get through.
Ooh.
Right now, we're in the getting through. This is going to be something that we as HR professionals and practitioners and people who deliver service and value in companies, we got to understand this is something we're going through. And so your attitude, I was sharing with the team, right now you hear a lot of folks say, what they've lost, what they've given up because of this COVID, and we're really concerned about the emotional outlook on people and the mental strain that it's having and stuff. And it's like, I've lost this and I've lost this and lost this. And I challenged our team. I said, tell me something you gained. Because of this pandemic, what have you gained through this? How has life changed for you? But it's really good. Like, there's families that are sitting down at the kitchen table at night now having dinner, that haven't had dinner forever because they're so busy going to ball games, and dad's over here and mom's over here and stuff. Bruce, who's going to be the most depressed group when this thing is over and we're moving forward with dogs. Dogs are being walked all over the place. They're having a great time. Dogs are going to be depressed because there's somebody to play with all day long in the house, and they're going on walks and stuff. But what have you gained because of this? Game nights. I'm seeing neighbors as I walk through my neighborhood. They're sitting, they're distance, but they're sitting in their driveways having conversations and stuff. I think that when we look on the other side of this, we're going to see some amazing things that have happened. I mean, take this. We're on, on video conference and doing these things. I have learned so much about my employees and my teammates that I'm serving with. I know what's important to them because now I'm in the window. I've been invited into their house, and so I'm seeing that one of my team loves Elvis Presley and loves all these, different things. Man, I've been in the bedrooms of employees. Boy, that sounds wrong. But, they're sitting on their bed and they're chatting back and forth with you. I've met their children. I've met their dogs. We had pet day. And so we're here at work. We're just walking past each other a lot of times. Hi, how you doing? Nice coffee. Can I get, but now we're in the homes of each other. And we're having just an incredible, and I've learned so much about our people that I would never know if I hadn't gone through this.
I got to tell you, my heart is so full from you sharing this. As a matter of fact, one of my questions I was going to ask you is, what's changed since COVID for you? But really, you just shared just now, it's not about changing anything in particular. It's about really perspective.
Yeah.
And I love how you talked about getting to like the silver lining.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important. We're talking about the leadership lane on here. I think one of the things, when to be a leader, and I know right now people are listening in, they're a leader. And I think that's the thing that people need to understand. You're leading somehow. You may be just a mom and a dad, but you have incredible influence over your children. So how are you leading out? And what are the things, I know I've heard you before ask, what are some common threads, or what are some great things that leaders do and stuff? And I would say that that's really important. The people that are around me, one, authenticity, integrity. You were asking what changed because of COVID. I think being authentic.
Mm.
Even if I don't have something to say, to be able to communicate with our team and people, our CEO, myself, we make videos and we have Teams meetings, and I drop in on Teams meetings. I'm having coffee with Mitch right now where I take about 10 employees and we're scheduling them out, and it may be a 30-minute, 15-minute coffee break that I'm having in the morning or evening on Teams with selected employees. They don't have any clue. They just know they're having coffee with Mitch. What does that mean? And it's just, how are you doing? But being authentic, the integrity, I think that's something that's really important for leaders to be. Even if you don't have any new news to tell them,
Mm-hmm.
tell them that. Because if you don't, the absence of vision, the absence of direction, we then begin to fill in the white space. And so as a leader, we have to let them know, even, hey, listen, here's where we're going. In the first stages of COVID, we were saying this, and the next week we were changing. And that's okay. Some people get paralyzed and they never can make a decision, right, as a leader, because they're what if it changes? Well, what if it changes? You change. That's what you do. That's leadership, right? And so here's the direction we're going this week. As they learn more about COVID, and if it changes, then we'll change with it. But at least tell the people that, so they have a direction. And our people have stayed engaged. They're remote. Of course, on the projects, they got to be there, because you got to build a bridge. You can't build it from your bedroom. You can't build it from your living room. Got to be there. But a lot of our folks in support roles are remote. And so you have to be authentic. You have to have integrity. Listen, you got to have gratitude. I think that's an important trait to have, just the spirit of gratitude. And that's where, what do you have because of the pandemic? What am I grateful for right now? And I think when you have that spirit of gratitude, I think it changes your whole outlook. It changes the vision that you see things. And so you see it from a different view. Influence is another trait, not power. I talked about that a while ago, but the ability to influence others. And then I think emotional stability. And let me tell you what I mean by that, Bruce. I mean, one of my goals for the 10 years, I've really been working on, is not to react, but to respond. Emotional stability. See, first responders do what? They come in and they heal and they help and stuff. You know what reactors do? They blow things up. Reactor blows things up. So as a leader, I can react to a situation. And listen, I have those moments. That's why this is a goal in my life. Or I can respond. If I respond, then I'm going to bring healing. I'm going to bring some direction. I'm going to build some guidance. And so that emotional stability. I think those are some common, traits that leaders have got to have. And folks that are listening in here, I think if those four things become something that you think through, I think you're going to have a lot of success.
I really love how you share some different things, even things that you're working on yourself. I mean, you're a top level leader, and you're sitting here saying, you know what, I'm still working on reacting versus responding. I'm still reading and learning and growing every day. I love what you said about the gratitude. I think that's one of the things that helps me, especially when I have a tough day, is when I can just start looking at the gratitude and I can get through that. I want to pivot here. I want to talk about you personally. I mean, you lead a big team. You've done an incredible job. But what about leading Mitch? Can you just share, like, what's your day look like? What, from the time you get up till the time you say, hey, I'm calling it a day? Do you have some like daily practices that you do every day?
Yeah. So absolutely. Because you have to work on self. You have to self-care. That's one of the things that I'm preaching through this pandemic. I'm worried, someone said, you're worried about production going up, down. And I'm going, no, what I'm worried about is they're spending too much time in front of the screen. I start every day off with exercise. 5 o'clock, 5:30, my wife and I, we go for a walk, and 45, 50 minutes, almost 3 miles every morning. If you look back at pictures, if you knew me, 4 years ago, I'm 120 pounds. I lost 120 pounds. At the end of 2016, I was on a stage. I was doing a speech, 400, 500 HR things, and I was talking about the pursuit of excellence. And while I was on the stage, I was having an out-of-body experience. I was having a conversation with myself, and it was this. It's like, how can you sit in front of these people and give them this speech when you're not exhibiting it in your own life. You're not pursuing excellence in the way that you treat yourself, the way that you take care of yourself. And so I walked off that stage. Now I tell people I went to a Mitch Beckman seminar and it changed my life. And, but so I proceeded and I lost 30 pounds. And then in January of 2017, I kept on that goal. And, you know, so now think of it. I went from a size 48 pants to a size 32, 33. Now I went from weighing 293 pounds to 169, 68, you know, right in there. And so, you know, I can remember speaking at a conference that I was at, and it was a suit and tie type thing. And I remember somebody staring at me, and I'm like, you know, they hadn't seen me in a while. And I go, yeah, I've lost a lot of weight. And their response was, yeah, okay, but you're wearing a suit and tie. And they couldn't recognize. But so exercise, every morning exercise. I'll tell you this, it's improved my marriage. Incredible in doing this and walking this, because we walk together and we talk about our day and what we're going to face. At the end of the day, my wife and I walk together again, and we talk about the day, we talk about the kids, we talk about life, we dream, we plan. Sometimes she likes to run, so she runs and I walk. And that's the time that I take for solitude. And sometimes solitude, we think solitude is me getting alone and just listening to music or something. No, I mean nothing. I mean quiet. And to be able to hear your own thoughts and think through things. I knew I was going to be on here with you today. So this morning while I'm walking, I'm thinking through what can I share? Because I don't want to waste anybody's time. I hope that people, when they get done with this, is that if there's one nugget, something that they can take away from this that can help them and influence their life, then it was well worth my time. So I exercise, I read. My wife will make breakfast for us, and I'll eat breakfast with my wife. And while I'm sitting there, I'll read articles throughout the day. What is the news? I have certain subscriptions that come in every morning, and I'll spend 30 to 40 minutes scanning and reading things so I'm up to speed on things that are going on. I then, when I get to the office, first thing I'll do is I'll scan emails. What's happened, what's come through, and I have a process of being able to do that. I have an amazing executive assistant who knows how to go through things and keep me on track. She's amazing. And then from there, it's about leading out. What does the day have in store for us today? What meetings am I going to be in? And then the other thing that makes me better than I am is I've just got, Bruce, and you've met him, I've got an incredible team.
Yeah.
And the truth is I work for them. They don't really work for me. You know, when a manager realizes that they are there to serve the people that work with him and under them, that's when he becomes a leader. They're not there to serve him. He or she is there to serve them, to make sure that they have the things. I'm their champion. I have their back. I won't let them out to hang, you know, and it's not about, I think, who was it? Was it Reagan that said that? If we're not worried about who gets the credit, it's amazing what we can get done if we're not worried about who gets the credit. They're my legacy. And so, so when a Chelsea Russo or a Jared Branch or whoever, you know, Lawrence, these people, when they go on and they're CHROs or CPOs or whatever they are one day, see, that's my legacy in the professional work world. And then hopefully my kids are my legacy in other ways and stuff. So lead out. So exercise, read, scan, and then lead out. That's a typical day.
That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. That is, oh man. For those who are looking for a role model in leadership, listen, you're watching and listening to greatness right here. Mitch, I'm curious, do you still use a paper planner? I mean, you talked earlier about making notes on your phone. I mean, I'm always like, I'm in my phone. I still use as a matter of fact, I was thinking, you mentioned Jim Rome earlier.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold it up here just so you can see this, but I use the 1 Year Success Planner by Jim Rohn. I mean, talk about legacy. Do you still use a paper calendar or do you just use your electronic?
I dream a lot, but I use Outlook is what I use. But I'm the most unorganized guy there is. And when people see my calendar, they go, "Oh, you're so organized." No, I'm not. That's why I have it. That's why I use it. But I color code. So if it's HR, it's this color. If it's management, it's this color. And I can look at a glance at my week, and based just on color of things that I have in Outlook, I can know how my week is looking and what I can do. And then some things are coded. So my assistant, she knows if this is this color, that she can move that, right? And schedule something in if she needs to. And so I have a plan, and then I'm with it. I'm Generation Z all the way now. I use apps, and I'm, OneNote and 360, Microsoft 360. And so I capture things all the time and then it's right at my fingertips whenever I need it.
Yeah, that man, that's fantastic. I appreciate that. So before we get into the last part, it's time to accelerate. I want to ask you just, you've shared a lot, man. You've shared a lot. Was there any advice that you were given that you you still find yourself giving this advice, or maybe it's something you shared today?
Yeah, it is. I would just say again, be grateful. Have a spirit of gratitude.
Yeah.
I think it was William Arthur Ward that said, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Share gratitude. If you're grateful about it, share it with others. My dad used to say, he goes, "Son, if you're walking down the street, you see somebody that doesn't have a smile, give them yours, share yours." And so, that doesn't mean, listen, I want to be very careful here and very deliberate on here. Man, I have bad days. I'm not perfect. And as a matter of fact, I like to talk about excellence. And I wrote this because I love word crafting. You may have noticed that, some of your listeners and stuff. And I love words, and I love words mean things. But when you look at excellence and the journey of excellence, I wrote this out for myself. It said, the one perfect thing about excellence is that excellence doesn't demand one to be perfect. And so many times we get frozen because we're trying to get perfection. And so we never move, we never go forward. And that's not what excellence is. It's not perfection. Excellence is the mindset, the heartbeat that says, I'm going to move forward. I'm going to move upward and reach upward to go and get the things that I want. So the one perfect thing about excellence is that excellence doesn't demand one to be perfect.
I love that.
That's what I would share.
Yeah, you actually, if you look on your LinkedIn, it says the one perfect thing about excellence is that excellence does not demand one to be perfect. That's great. I'm gonna put that in the show notes. I want to go ahead and get into it's time to accelerate just with some fun facts. I always just like to, you talked earlier about reading and listening to podcasts. Is there a preference? Do you like to read or listen to podcasts?
I do both. I listen to both. Right now I'm listening podcast, Follow the Leader, a collection of best lectures on leadership, Maxwell, Sinek, Sekola, Lori, Laura out there, love her. Book I'm reading right now. I'm reading, got it right here, Mike Abershoff. I'm third time reading it through. Love Mike Abershoff on It's Your Ship, turning around the worship in the Navy. How do you turn that around in truth? Mike is an incredible speaker and writer. So always want to focus, and then just different articles all the time. I subscribe to, HR executives. I like, what are CEOs? I read what CEOs read because I want to know how my CEO is thinking. I want to know what's going on with them. And so, I'll read CEO journals and things like that because I think it's important for me to know, what are they feeling? What are they thinking? Hey, what's keeping him? Matter of fact, I'll ask him a lot of times. I'll go, man, Jose, what's keeping you up at night? Today, what's one thing that's really on your mind that you want me to know about? And doing that. So I like to read and I like to listen to podcasts. I got a 30-minute drive, which is great. I can either listen to a book or I can listen to a podcast.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh man, I love that. Okay. What about favorite food? You got a favorite food?
Yeah. My wife's French toast.
Oh, did you say French toast?
French toast. Every morning.
Man.
I have the same thing every morning. French
Is
toast.
that right?
Yeah.
I'm coming to your house next time I'm in Houston.
It is absolutely amazing. So
Oh
She has this
man.
little mix that she puts on it, and it's amazing. So, my
Oh,
wife,
I'm a big fan of that. Oh man, that's awesome. How about, I mean, you've been all around the world. Is there a favorite place that you've been to, or a place that you still want to go?
oh gosh, I've been to every state of the United States but Alaska, so I like to go to Alaska sometimes. My favorite place, probably vacation place, is Seaside, Florida. I love
Mm,
Seaside, Florida. I love anything that has sand, beach. You know, um, I can go and think and just get quiet and hear myself, hear my own heartbeat.
I love
Not
that.
everything else, not all the other noise that's going on. Sometimes you just have to get quiet and have solitude to hear yourself. So the beach does that for me. That's that place.
I will tell you, I'm going to have a takeaway today, and you've talked about thinking and solitude a lot, and I'm going to take some time to really meditate on it. How about, I always like to ask this question, not necessarily a hobby, but what energizes you?
Um, just straight, very personal, very personal. My faith in Christ. It's the foundation to everything that I do, my outlook in life, and keeps me passionate about what I do.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
I, um, I have a final question here I want to ask, and I like to ask this of all my guests. And the question is, 10 years older, Mitch, he's knocking at your door.
Yeah.
What's he telling you?
Yeah. He's telling me to stop reacting and start responding.
Mm.
And he's telling me drop Blockbuster and buy Netflix.
Oh my gosh, I love that, man. Let me just tell you, this has been a fun conversation. It's been educational. It's
It
been
has been fun.
inspiring, and I've really enjoyed it. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you coming onto the show,
Sure.
sharing your wisdom and your perspective for all the listeners, the viewers. If somebody wanted to just follow you, is there a place that they could go and connect with you?
Twitter at mbeckman24. You'll find me on Twitter. You'll find me, obviously, you talked about LinkedIn. And then, email. I get messages as simple, mbeckman@wweber.com. A lot of connections through LinkedIn and conversations and stuff. So, and Twitter.
Well, I
That's it.
appreciate. Yep, I appreciate you so much. I know that the listeners and viewers are going to get a lot out of this, and I can't wait to share it coming up soon. So, listen, have a great week, and appreciate you, my friend.
You bet, Bruce. And hey, thank you for taking the lead on this. I listen to I'm always learning. You're one of the people I listen to, and your podcast. I appreciate what you do to help people on their leadership lane.
Thanks, my friend.
You bet.